Ares, the god of war, have a loosey reputation. His unrestrained bursts, violence, and bloodthirst turned this god into someone feared by mortal beings and deeply rejected by gods. Even Zeus, his own father, was not particularly fond of the god of war, having in Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategic war, his revered. However, there was a goddess who could not resist his ill-intentioned way of being the god of war, and this was Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Ares had the perfect athletic body built, and his beauty was stunningly beautiful. In Aphrodite's eyes, this contrasted with the god Hephaestus, a rough-looking and crippled deity after he fell from Olympus when he was just a baby. Aphrodite was tired of being that lonely. It was when the fiery goddess of love heard the arrival of Ares, who had returned from yet another one of his wars. Staring at that beautiful blood-drenched god, she got goosebumps and she promptly offered herself to clean all that blood. Ares felt surprised. For a long time, not a single resident of Olympus showed him the slightest courtesy. The insinuating Aphrodite started her seduction ritual, for Ares didn't stand a chance against the power of love. Hidden, the gods went through a night of fiery love, and from that day on, whenever Hephaestus went to work, Ares visited Aphrodite on her marriage bed.
To avoid being spotted by Helios, the personification of the sun and the number one gossiper among deities, Ares ordered Electryon to guard the door of Aphrodite's room, warning him if the sun ever came by. Hypnos, the god of sleep, had already noticed that something odd was happening between the couple, but she didn't want to be known as a snitch. The god of sleep then hit Electryon with an overwhelming need to sleep. He fell asleep and did not see the sun approaching. After waking up, Ares noticed that it was day already. The couple had surely been spotted by the sun. Enraged with Electryon, Ares decides to punish the negligent watchman, turning him into a rooster, and from that day on, Electryon never stopped shouting just before the sun came up.
The god Helios told Hephaestus everything he saw. Hephaestus refused to believe in his wife's betrayal, but decided to set a trap just in case. My beloved wife, I have a major job to do and I will be gone for a week. As soon as Hephaestus went on his way, Ares jumped to the wife's bed. But this time, the adulterous couple would not get away with it. The god of forges Hephaestus had weaved the net so fine that it looked invisible. Having put it on the bed, right where the gods were doing it, the net fell on the couple, imprisoning them. Hephaestus, enraged with anger, called the other deities to witness the shameful sin. Look at these traitors, caught in such a disgraceful situation. They can never leave my powerful net. They will remain imprisoned as punishment. Hermes looked at Apollo and said, apparently, Ares decided to devote himself to a different sort of battle, a more hand-to-hand thing. So to speak of all the punishment ever devised by the gods, being united with Aphrodite certainly must be unbearable for Ares.
All the gods started to laugh. Ashamed and humiliated, Hephaestus decided to repudiate his wife. From the union of Ares and Aphrodite were born Deimos, Phobos, and the beautiful Harmonia.
Hephaestus, also known as Vulcan in Roman form. He was the Greek god of blacksmithing, craftsmanship, and metallurgy. Thus, his domain was fire, smithing, and forge. Hephaestus was depicted as an unattractive god with an unkempt beard, deformed foot, and holding a crafting tool. The foot of Hephaestus may also be turned facing backward to signify its deformity. Hephaestus is the son of Zeus and Hera, and on some other sources, Hephaestus is parthenogenous child of Hera, which means that he was only created by Hera herself. She was extremely looking forward into her baby's appearance, knowing that Zeus, the god of sky, and Hera herself is the goddess of marriage. But it turned out that her baby was not really meeting her expectations. The baby's appearance is furry, dark-skinned, and he was even uglier when he cries.
He was cast off by his own mother out of Mount Olympus because she feels discomfort when she is seeing her own child.
Luckily, he lands on the ocean and manages to survive, but he ended up crippled and limp that gave him difficulty in walking. There was that sea nymph named Thetis that helped him survive the fall. Thetis took him into the island of Lemnos and quickly became fond of the child. He grows playing with volcanoes. As Lemnos have lots of volcanoes, he learned the skills of smithing with the blazing heat of lava. He was able to create powerful weapons, durable armors, and gorgeous jewelries. The time has come. He decided to go back to Mount Olympus. He offered golden throne for his mother Hera. As he gave his gift to his mother, her mother quickly forgets her discomfort. She feels extremely satisfied. The throne was so beautiful and divine. As she is so attractive to the throne, she immediately sat on it. And when she wants to get back up, she found herself stuck in the throne. Nothing or no one can help her out but Hephaestus himself. He goes back to the island of Lemnos to ignore all the communications with Olympus gods. It was Dionysus who bring Hephaestus back to Mount Olympus. He managed to persuade Hephaestus to return to Olympus by getting him drunk. Hephaestus sat on a mule led by Dionysus, satyrs and nymphs dancing around them. In exchange of freeing her, he demands that her mother and the court of Olympus stop treating him with despise and accept his return to Mount Olympus. Goddess Hera accepts his demand, and so she is freed. She then starts to treat him with the respect he deserves. Lastly, he makes one last request. He asks permission to marry Aphrodite, the most beautiful goddess of all. Surprisingly, Aphrodite accepts. With the blessing of Goddess Hera, they got married. Aphrodite seems unfaithful with Hephaestus. She doesn't have interest at him at all. Aphrodite had been intimate with Ares, the god of war, and Hephaestus became aware of the affair through Helios, the god of sun. He used his workmanship to create an unbreakable chain link net to catch them naked in bed and take them to display on Mount Olympus. The gods and goddesses was amused because Hephaestus caught them both. Surprisingly, they got released without being punished. He thinks of a new idea to get revenge on his wife. Hephaestus created the necklace of Harmonia, which brings pain and suffering whoever wears this accessory. The accessory was worn by one of Aphrodite's daughter. On other story, he tried to court Athena and she rejects him. Hephaestus ejaculated in Athena's thigh. She brushed the semen away. Semen fell into the earth. Gaia became pregnant. The child's name was Erectonius, the future king of Athens. Facts about Hephaestus. He can create automatons which make any object alive. Hephaestus created the woman named Pandora. Hephaestus made all of the weapons and armors for the Olympians. There are versions of the myth that says Prometheus gave fire to mankind by stealing fire from the forge of Hephaestus.
Greek mythology, Demeter, goddess of harvest, grain, and fertility. Symbols: wheat, cornucopia, torch, swine. Parents: Venus and Rhea. She is one of the 12 Olympian gods that live on Mount Olympus. Because she was the goddess of the harvest, she was very important to the farmers and peasant people of Greece. As goddess of the harvest, Demeter was worshipped by the people of Greece as they depended on good crops for food and survival. The main temple to Demeter was located a short distance from the city of Athens in a sanctuary at Eleusis. Demeter didn't marry, but she had a daughter named Persephone with her brother Zeus. Persephone was the goddess of springtime and vegetation. Together, Demeter and Persephone watch over the world's seasons and plants. Demeter had an only daughter, Persephone, the maiden of the spring. She lost her, and in her terrible grief, she withheld her gifts from the earth, which turned into a frozen desert. The green and flowering land was icebound and lifeless, because Persephone had disappeared. She sped like a bird over sea and land seeking her daughter, but no one would tell her the truth, no man nor God, nor any sure messenger from the birds. 9 days Demeter wandered, and all the time she would not taste of ambrosia or put sweet nectar to her lips. At last she came to the sun, and he told her all the story. Persephone was down in the world beneath the earth, among the shadowy dead. Demeter left Olympus. She dwelt on earth, but so disguised that none knew her. And indeed the gods are not easily discerned by mortal men. In her desolate wanderings, she came to Eleusis and sat by the wayside near a well. She seemed an aged woman. At last, Zeus saw that he must take the matter in hand. He sent the gods to Demeter, one after another, to try to turn her from her anger. But she listened to none of them. Never would she let the earth bear fruit until she had seen her daughter. Then Zeus realized that his brother must give way. He told Hermes to go down to the underworld and to be the lord of it, let his bride go back to Demeter. Hermes found the two sitting side by side, Persephone shrinking away, reluctant because she longed for her mother. At Hermes' words, she sprang up joyfully, eager to go. He made her eat a pomegranate seed, knowing in his heart that if she did so, she must return to him. She ran out to meet her daughter. Persephone sprang into her arms and was held fast there. All day they talked of what had happened to them both, and Demeter grieved when she heard of the pomegranate seed, fearing that she could not keep her daughter with her. She must lose Persephone for 4 months every year and see her young loveliness go down to the world of the dead. But she was kind, the good goddess men always called her. She was sorry for the desolation she had brought about. She made the fields once more rich with abundant fruit and the whole world bright with flowers and green leaves. In the stories of both goddesses, Demeter and Persephone, the idea of sorrow was foremost. Demeter, goddess of the harvest wealth, was still more the divine sorrowing mother who saw her daughter die each year. Persephone was the radiant maiden of the spring and the summertime, whose light step upon the dry brown hillside was enough to make it fresh and blooming.